A very good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining the program.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
All right, and also joining us virtually is Ebere Juliet Ebenezer, who is the president, Female Youth Network. A very good morning to you, Juliet. Thank you so much for joining the program as well.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I will come back to you. Well, you know what they say, ladies first. Juliet, let's talk about youth in politics. You are a member of the younger demographic, I believe. And when we talk about youth in politics, most people just assume, positions like councillorship, chairmanship, and, the grassroots positions are just meant for the younger demographic of Nigerians. But what exactly does it mean to be a young person in Nigeria's political space?
Being a young person in Nigerian political space means being actively involved in the politics of the system, as knowing your leaders, knowing what you expect from your leaders, and knowing how to hold them accountable if there's any place they're not doing as they should. So it's not just about vying for political position. It's about being politically aware. That's what it means to be a Nigerian youth in politics. So even if you're not a chairman, even if you're not a councillor, even if you're not a senator or a House of Representative member, you should know the ongoings in the political system. That is what it means to be a youth in politics.
Now, there has been this level of apathy, amongst Nigerians, most especially the youth, when it comes to political participation. The notion is if, the younger people are getting involved in politics, it's either they are going to be used as thugs and the rest, and that they are not allowed to actively participate, whether by means of voting. Most of them don't even believe that their votes count anymore. What do you say to this, and how do you think this apathy issue can be solved within, Nigeria's electoral space?
Okay, so I wouldn't totally disagree with that, because we are all Nigerians and we've seen what has been happening so far, especially with the last election and other elections. However, in this current government, I think progress has been made significantly when it comes to using youth for the right purposes. Like, we have so many youth SLAs at the moment. However, we cannot just stop there. We still want more youth participation. We want activeness of youth. And yesterday, the ruling party started its sale of interest forms. And we saw a significant amount of youths buying these forms. So we are hoping that, apart from the purchase of the interest forms and, of course, the nomination forms, we're hoping that youths are being given the opportunities to actually be in the political position, so that they will no longer be used as thugs or as instruments to get political seats, but they will be used as leaders that would actually lead in the political space.
All right, Juliet, I'll come back to you in just a moment. Back to you, Mr. Oyefeso, the President's Nigeria Youth in Politics. Your portfolio speaks for itself. You have heard what Juliet has laid out concerning apathy when it comes to youth participation in politics. You're also the convener Youth Quota Bill. Tell us a little bit more about that, and what would it mean for the average Nigerian youth who ordinarily thinks the political space is far within reach?
Yeah, thank you very much. If you realize the Youth Quota in Parliament bill came to accelerate the eligibility reform, which we got in 2018, which is the Not Too Young to Run Act. That gave the young people eligibility reform.
Yeah.
So, and we looked at it that alone, not too young to run alone, is not sustainable to guarantee youth participation in politics, in leadership space. So we now come up with the Youth Quota in Parliament advocacy, which has translated into a bill in the 10th Assembly, and currently the bill has passed the first reading, and as the primary is unfolding now, political parties are selling primaries. Last 2 weeks, we held the Dialogue for Change on youth candidacy, because the next phase of the advocacy is to ensure that young people under the ages of 35 are emerged, are sponsored intentionally by the political party during the political party process, to ensure that we have nothing less than 20% of young people emerge as candidates, and also at the election 2027, we are looking at not less than 20%, because the current assembly is inadequate, because the marginalization against not only the younger women, if you realize, the current assembly has no younger women under 35, aside from the young youths that are there under 45, so we look at it that there is need for more people to encourage more young people to be part of the demography. If we are the larger demography of the population, over 60%, why is it that when the decisions are made, the younger people who constitute the larger demography, they are not there at the parliamentary level out of 360 seats?
But Mr. Oyefeso, another thing to consider is the interest of the youth in politics. Are Nigerian youths really interested in politics? I'm not just talking about the few like yourself and Juliet who are actively involved in this. I'm talking about the larger majority of Nigerian youths. Are they truly invested in what happens in the country? Does the average Nigerian youth understand how Nigerian politics works?
In fact, to be candid with you, the Nigerian demographic youth are one of the most enlightened electorates across the African, continent. And why I'm saying this is that we have been around advocating for youth participation in politics, and we understand that though there are voter apathy, though there are indices that discourage the younger people from participating in politics, but still yet, if you look at the set of people that decide who gets what, even as the election is coming, you discover that more younger people are the people that will go to the polling unit to vote. So saying that younger people are not aware or are not ready, I think is not a good thing. So I'm telling you right now, from what we have, that young people are more positioned, younger people are much ready to ensure that they participate, not only as a spectator, and also for them to be part of the decision-making parliament. Because where decision that affects you and I is made is at the parliament level, both at the national and state assembly. And I can tell you from what we have gathered through the Youth Quota in Parliament advocacy, we can tell you that more young people are actively and ready to be part of the process, to take the lead and make a tangible change to the development of a nation.
Now, Juliet, let me come back to you. Let's talk about the Electoral Act that has been amended. Much was not seen about youth participation in politics, or youth involvement, rather, in politics, and also the special seats for women's bill was also not captured in the Electoral Act, even though it's still a bill and has not been passed into law. What do you say about these two aspects? One, youth participation in politics, and also the reservation of special seats for women in the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly.
Okay, so I'll start with the first one. That's the Not Too Young to Run Act. I think it's created the consciousness in youth that they're actually eligible. However, we took it a notch higher by coming up with the Youth in Parliament Quota Bill advocacy, which is to also inform you that apart from being eligible, you can actually be represented. You could be given slots. Slots can be allocated, because we're seeking at least 20% youth slots in the National Assembly. So I believe that is progress. Then, as for the reserve seats for women bill, act is still an ongoing thing, and we are hopeful that it would actually it would get the kind of recognition that it should get, and we are hoping that the National Assembly gives us what we're seeking. That's based on reserved seats for women.
Come back to you, Mr. Oyefeso. Let me also get your reaction on that reservation of special seats for women, and also the fact that the electoral bill did not specifically capture anything regarding youth's involvement in politics, women's involvement in politics, and the reservation of those seats, and also very little to nothing when it comes to, people living with disability also being considered in electoral matters.
Thank you. I think I'm much more interested in the people with disability. As you know, there is no bill that addresses those young people that are one disability or the other in inclusion for their participation in the leadership of Nigeria. And the women, the reserved seats for women is a laudable innovation. We are part of the advocacy for that bill. However, we believe that the Youth Quota in Parliament bill, which is specific, inclusive of younger women, because the bill that seeks to guarantee 30% at the National Assembly representation for young people under 35, it requested that younger women under 35 and people with disability, are carried along in the Youth Quota in Parliament bill. However, the Women Reservation bill for us is a wonderful one, but when we look at the clause, the logos of the Women Reservation bill, there is no clause that protects the participation of younger women, because there's no clause in that bill that protect the younger women participation. So that's why we look at it and make sure that in the Youth Quota bill, younger women as well as people with disability are included in the quota that we are pushing forward. It's a win-win for us. The Youth Quota in Parliament bill advocacy as well as the seat reservation for women is all geared towards ensuring all-inclusive representation of the marginalized demography across the nation. And I believe that the leadership of the 10th Assembly did their best, the best. However, the best is not enough. However, the next Assembly, we believe, will do the justice. If this Assembly fail to do the right thing before they exit, finally.
Now, to conclude this matter, Juliet, back to you. I just want to reel out some the ages of our founding fathers and how old they were when they were, when they started active politics. Awolowo was 37 at the time. Akintola was 36 years. Ahmadu Bello was 36 years. Tafawa Balewa was 34. Okotiebo was 27, and Enahoro was 27 as well. Nzeogu, who led the first military coup in Nigeria, was 29 years old at the time. Murtala Mohammed was 28 during the Civil War. Theophilus Danjuma was 28. IBB was 25. J. Garba was 23. Sani Abacha was 23. And also Shehu Musa Yar'Adua was 23 years old. None of these individuals was up to 40 years as at the time when they were actively involved in the leadership of this country in one way or the other. What is the future of youth in politics or youth in governance in Nigeria? I just want to get your reaction or your take in just a few minutes before we go.
The current bill we are advocating for, that's the Youth Quota in Parliament bill. Our focus is on youths aged 35 and below. So that's something that should be well noted. So we are focused on women 35 and below, people with disability 35 and below, young people 35, men 35 and below. So it means that if, because the bill passed its first hearing in November, and we're still hoping that it gets to the second hearing, and of course, the right things will be done. So if this is done, it proves that there's a very bright future for the Nigerian youth. It means that at least 20% of young people aged 35 and below, that is 30, 31, even 20. It means people like that can easily buy forms and can, knowing that there are seats reserved for them. So that's the whole purpose of the bill we're advocating for. We have these people in mind, we have the young people in mind, because I'm young too, I'm below 35, and we have so many other young people doing well in Nigeria today at heart. Look at the fintech, we have so many young people 20-something, and they are doing great. So if they can do great in organizational leadership, that means they can also do great in politics. So we know that the future is bright for the Nigerian youth, because if it's about preparedness, we are prepared. We are prepared. We are leaders. We are born leaders. We are naturally prepared for these things. So we are hoping that our bill is passes its second reading, so that young people would know that they stand a chance and they have slots reserved for them.
All right,
because the problem with them now is that they feel like if they even end up buying the forms, they might not get opportunities to be in the space.
All right,
so this
Juliet,
bill is telling them that they actually have opportunity to be in the space.
I'm afraid we have to go, but thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Always a pleasure, and we wish you the very best of the rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Mr. Blessing, Flex Vaniel, thank you so much as well for speaking to us on Morning Express.
Thank you very much.